The bulldozers roared at 6:45 a.m. on a misty June morning in 2024, tearing through the dam my late brother Tom and I had built with our own hands. That dam wasn't just rocks and dirt. It was a vow we made to the land, to each other, in the rolling hills of Willow Creek, Tennessee. It kept my orchard alive and the fancy homes down the hill from turning into a muddy mess every time a storm hit. But the Pinewood Heights Homeowners Association, led by their queen bee, Amanda Stroud, didn't care about promises or practicality. She stood there, smug as ever, clutching a stack of papers she claimed were permits, her hired off-duty deputy flashing a court order that screamed fake from a mile away. Amanda thought she'd pulled off the perfect power play. What she didn't know was that the wettest summer in 2 decades was rolling in, and gravity doesn't bend to forged documents. I caught it all on hidden cameras. Wait until you hear what they recorded. It started like any other day. I was up before dawn, sipping coffee, watching the mist lift off the small lake our dam created 50 years ago. Tom and I had hauled every stone, packed every shovelful of earth, after we bought this 10-acre plot in 1972. It wasn't just a barrier. It was a lifeline for my apple trees and a shield for the neighborhood below. Tom's been gone 12 years now, and that dam was his legacy, etched into the land. I was grabbing the morning paper from my mailbox when I saw it. A certified letter in a plastic sleeve taped to my gate. My gut twisted. Certified letters never bring good news. Back in my kitchen, I sliced it open with a butter knife. The letter, stamped June 10th, 2024, at 9:17 a.m., was from Pinewood Heights HOA. It called my dam an unsightly hazard, a violation of their precious aesthetic rules, and demanded I tear it down within 30 days or they do it and slap a lien on my land. My land. I dug out the old deed from my filing cabinet, the one with the county seal from 1972. The map was clear. My property line ran well beyond the dam. They had no claim to it. I figured this was a mix-up, some desk jockey who couldn't read a survey. I'd clear it up at the next HOA meeting. The meeting was in their clubhouse, a sterile box reeking of cheap coffee and air freshener. I sat in the back, my rolled-up deed like a weapon in my hand. Amanda Stroud, the HOA president, ran the show from a folding table, her sharp blazer and sharper haircut screaming control. When public comments opened, I stood, calm as ever. I am a retired civil engineer, trained to lean on facts, not feelings. I laid out the deed, pointed to the property line, and said, "The dam's on my land. You've got no right to touch it." For a moment, I thought logic might win. A neighbor, Susan Miller, who lived in one of the big houses down the hill, spoke up. "He's right. That dam's why my basement's never flooded in 10 years. A few others nodded, including a grizzled ex-Marine named Henry Cole. I felt a flicker of hope. This was how neighbors should work, listening, reasoning. But Amanda's smile didn't budge. She held up a sheaf of papers, claiming they were county permits and expert reports proving the dam was a liability. From my seat, I could see the stamp was blurry, like a bad photocopy. My engineer's brain screamed fraud, but I had no proof. Not yet. Amanda dismissed me with a tap of her gavel. "Demolition scheduled," she said, her voice ice cold. Next agenda item. I walked out into the night, the letter crumpled in my fist. This wasn't a mistake. It was a war. June 22nd, 2024, 6:45 am. The ground shook as I poured my second coffee. Outside my window, 2 yellow bulldozers and a flatbed truck lined the road. Amanda stood in front, clipboard in hand, like a general. Beside her was Deputy Carl Tatum, a county cop who moonlighted for the HOA. He waved a court order, his voice shaky as he called it official. I hit record on my phone and stepped outside. The air was thick with tension. I zoomed in on the document lot 219C. My land was 217A. "Wrong property," I said, steady as steel. Amanda snatched the paper, snapping, "It's a typo. Stand aside." I didn't budge, recording her smug face, the deputy's nervous glance, the idling machines. Neighbors peeked from their porches. Susan Miller looked horrified. Henry Cole shook his head, muttering, "They'll pay for this." I'd emailed the HOA board at 4:12 a.m. That morning, attaching 2 engineering reports from the 80s showing the dam prevented erosion and flooding. No response. Now, as the bulldozer roared forward, I stepped aside not for them, but to get a better shot. The machine tore into the dam, ripping through 50 years of work. Stones Tom and I had placed crumbled. The lake surged out, draining into the creek below. Frogs flopped in shrinking puddles. Amanda beamed, thinking she'd won. I looked her in the eye and said, loud enough for everyone, "You can't outvote gravity." 3 weeks later, the silence was deafening. The birds were gone. The bullfrogs were silent. The lake bed was cracked, bone-dry mud. I walked it daily, snapping photos, labeling each file by date and time. An engineer keeps records. Meanwhile, the HOA's July newsletter arrived, featuring Amanda with a shiny silver shovel in front of the muddy scar. Hazard removed, values protected, it bragged. I scanned it, saved it, labeled it Receipt 3. Then I drove to the county office, a gray maze of humming fluorescents. I showed a clerk Amanda's permit. He typed the number, frowned, typed again. "No record," he said, leaning in. "That seal's fake. Not our format." My heart didn't race, it hardened. Fraud, plain and simple. I noted his words, the date, the time. The weather forecast shifted that night. A massive storm system was coming, the wettest in 20 years. I didn't need to plan revenge. Amanda had set the stage. I bought 4 weatherproof cameras, mounted them on trees and posts, aimed at the breach, the creek, and the neighborhood below. They recorded 24/7. The storms hit on July 15th, 2024. Rain pounded my roof, no longer a comfort without the dam to hold it. My cameras showed the creek turning into a torrent, rushing downhill. Water flooded pristine lawns, pooling on sidewalks, creeping toward backyards. It wasn't a flood, yet just a warning. I saved the footage, labeled it Receipt 4. By August, the rain was relentless, soaking the ground until it couldn't hold more. Lawns became swamps. Algae bloomed in stagnant pools. The $1.5 million mansion at the cul-de-sac's end, with its sunken garden and tennis court, sat in 3 inches of murky water. The HOA's message board exploded with complaints: flooded basements, ruined driveways. Amanda's email blamed residents' drainage systems, calling it an act of nature. The August meeting was chaos. Henry Cole said it was standing room only, with residents shouting about mold and sinking foundations. A lawyer, Greg Vaughn, whose mansion was half submerged, yelled, "You turned our street into a lake." Amanda, cornered, screamed that I was sabotaging drains. Absurd, but some believed her. That night, Deputy Tatum's cruiser sat at my gate, lights flashing, a cheap scare tactic. I stood in my doorway, watching. They weren't just wrong, they were scared. I turned my kitchen table into a command center. The deed, the newsletter, the forged permit, my emails, the videos, everything laid out. I compared Amanda's permit to a real one from the county. The fake was laughable. No watermark, wrong font. I called my old friend, Ray Thompson, a hydraulics engineer. Over bourbon, he laughed at the forgery and broke down the reports. A dam's not ugly, it's physics. Remove it, and water goes where it wants. He'd testify. I needed a bigger stage. I found Lisa Carter, a Channel 5 reporter known for exposing corruption. I sent her a thumb drive with everything. She called the next day, hooked. She verified the permit fraud, interviewed Ray, Susan, and Greg. The story aired September 20th, 2024. Drone shots showed the swampy neighborhood. Ray's voice boomed, "You can't cheat gravity." Lisa ambushed Amanda outside the HOA office. Comment on the forged permit? Amanda hid behind her purse, fled to her SUV, and slammed the door. The truth was out. October brought the storm of the century. 12 hours of rain turned the creek into a raging river. My cameras caught it all: water swamping yards, submerging cars, pouring into basements. The cul-de-sac was a disaster zone. Fire trucks, news vans, and insurance adjusters swarmed. The county nailed a violation notice to the HOA clubhouse: cease operations permit, fraud, and negligence. At the town hall in the high school gym, Amanda tried to blame the rain. The crowd roared her down. The sheriff marched in, deputies in tow. "Amanda Stroud, you're under arrest for forgery and reckless endangerment." Handcuffs clicked. The gym erupted in applause as she was led away. Susan, Henry, and Greg shook my hand, saying, "Thank you, John." The county apologized, promising to make it right. The HOA was dissolved, replaced by a county board. They settled, funding a new dam. Neighbors Susan's husband, Henry, others helped rebuild. By spring 2025, the lake was filling, birds were back, and kids skipped stones across the water. I stood there, feeling Tom's presence in every stone. You can lie, bully, forge papers, but gravity always wins. What do you think? Was I wrong to let the cameras roll and nature take its course? Should I have fought harder to stop the demolition? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories where truth fights back. Where are you watching from?